So then the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to do a little social media research, and we're going to use Instagram. Instagram covers the most people from the widest demographic. So we're going to do an Instagram like social media campaign. But you got to do some research first. So you're just going to do some screenshots. If you get the Canvas app on your phone, then you can upload those screenshots, via that, or send them to yourself. You can figure out how to upload it. There'll be a submit button, and you just submit the images. And then a few bullet points of what they're doing well and what's not working. Sometimes I think you can learn more from what's not working. So if you find something that looks bad, it's a little bit easier to talk about. When you find something that looks good, sometimes it's hard to pinpoint why it looks good. You just know it looks good. So that's also a good challenge to try to figure that out. So this is just so I can see that you've done a little bit of research before you dive into making some mock-ups. So what's nice is Instagram has, and a lot of these pages will have a branding resource page for you where you can go. This one it's called Assets. And so the last thing that you want is to try to recreate one of these icons if they're for a brand, for a company. The company's going to give them to you with lots of rules on how to use them, how far away they can be from the bottom of the screen. Here are the different, it's called a glyph that you can use here, and you can just download them to use it. They have Instagram screenshots that you can use to mock up. They don't want you trying to recreate it. They just want you to do it. And so this will have a whole slew of different kinds of screenshots, and I have another place where you can download that file. But I just wanted you to be aware that you can usually go to the company itself and find these types of assets to use. So you are going to create 9 different Instagram posts. And you can use, I'm going to introduce something called Adobe Spark, which you can use if you'd like. I use it a lot. You can do this in Illustrator. You can do this in Photoshop. Whoa, this is wrong. That shouldn't say that right there. I'm going to fix that. I copied directions from something else. Sorry. Anyways, you can have your fonts and your colors and all of that good stuff. I'll get into Adobe Spark in a minute. Once you create your images, you're going to put it into a mock-up of Instagram so that it looks like it's really there. So this is something that you can download. And has anyone ever used like smart object mock-ups before in Photoshop? They're pretty amazing.
Like using one off the internet or creating your own smart object?
Using one off the internet. Yeah.
I've made my own smart object.
You have.
Yeah.
That's very cool. I have not. I've just used everybody else's. Let's go to Adobe Spark while that's opening. So Spark is a web-based, I'm logged in here. It's a web-based app, and it's also a mobile app. On the web, you have 3 things. Oops, sorry, go away. On the web, you can create a graphic, which can be social media, poster, flyer. You can create a web page, or you can create a video. If you are downloading this to your phone, these are 3 different apps. It's called Spark Post, Spark Page, and Spark Video. So it just depends on the platform that you're using. I do both. I have the posts on my phone, and I have, obviously, this online. If you have a Creative Cloud account, you have the advanced, the premium version, and you can load brands up on here. So this is something that I just use. We have a little race team, and you can have different logos that are already there that'll automatically propagate onto these images. You can have your brand colors. You can add more colors here, and you can add fonts. Now what's nice is they let you upload fonts. So they had a given set of fonts, but the fonts that you have found, you can upload those fonts directly and it will load it for you. So I'll show you a little bit about how this works. So and it'll save different images that I have. So you can have templates, you can see, so here's an image here. Everything's bright, everything's the same color. It's kind of, when you're scrolling down through this, you're gonna know that it's coming from this Rise Up Race team because it has this obnoxious yellow and these, you know, overlays that are gonna stand out a little bit different. In here, it's super fun. You can do so many different things. You can change the opacity. This is already a shape. So here, this shape, what do I have happening here? Nope, just an overlay. You can change colors. You can change parts of it. I just want next to be green. So you have a primary and a secondary part of, you know, the text that you're using. You can change that part to a different font. You can change, this can be so many different shapes. I don't know, oh, you just can't see it because it's black. Let me change the overlay. I can click on this image. I can change the overlay so that it's not so slow. Come on, you're killing me. You can find a bunch of free images. So let's say you were doing your coffee shop. So this searches Unsplash and Pixabay, which we were kind of talking about. And I'm gonna put that image there instead. Why? Why is this dark out? This is a great demo. You're welcome. So there's something dark in there that I did. So I don't know if
Some kind of filter.
I would assume it was just a filter, but it looks like,
It's like a gauzy blur.
no, it looks like I put a shape over the top. So I did it on this text. So this text, the shape is full. That's why. So that full square.
So you took a shape and then you choose the opacity.
Yeah, so then you can change the opacity. So that kind of fills it up. Then I go back to the text border and I change that opacity on that shape. You can also do different effects where you can cut things out. It's just something that you play around with. Some of these don't end up good. Some end up nice, but it's something that you play around with. It's on your phone. There's a slew of free pictures that you can already look for. You can load your fonts all the way in. If not, every time you just have to go through here and select, you know, what font you want. You just kind of pick the same thing. You can do, it quickly kind of formats things whichever way you want it to format it, and you can play around. You can also go to this style thing and they can guess how you want it to look. You can also, I'm gonna just go back to these projects. You can start by picking one of these too and kind of altering it and see what they do. And then you just put your 4 pictures in here, you change your text, you can change the color. Say someone already made this and I want to brandify it. Sometimes they pick some really ugly colors to brandify it with and you just have to go back and change it. But they put this logo here that ended up in a weird spot for this border. You can move it around. I try not to move it. What I try to do is just add another logo and it'll just keep putting it into the next corners. So it's always in like a consistent spot. So they're talking about have your logo in a consistent spot. And not that you would keep all of these here, but that you can just keep adding them and then be like, I don't want this one, I don't want this one, I want the one over there. So you just have to add it a couple of times. So it's on the very bottom now. But then once you get these different variations too, they give you, well, maybe you want it to look like this instead. So it's kind of fun to play around with. You can get lost and you can just create things on your own. You can add icons. They have so many different icons that you could add. Beautiful, right? And then let's change the opacity down, and you can change the color. Maybe that opacity was too much. But you can get pretty creative with the stuff that's there. Now, let's say this is a square. So you want to design things for Instagram in a square, but then a lot of times you also need to make it a story, or you need to make it a Facebook cover, or you need to make it for Facebook. So here they have everything already ready to go for you. They even have a new Snapchat story for your iPhone. I am going to go Instagram story. So there, it's changed things for me. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. You have to just adjust it. This logo placement usually never works because it's going to be in the way of where someone is commenting. And if it's up here, it's right under your very own profile picture anyways, which looks silly. A lot of times I don't even put profile picture on your story because your profile is already on your story very prominently because they're looking at your story versus like if you're scrolling a feed, you might scroll up past where the header and profile is and you just see the image and you're like, oh, I know who that image is for because the branding is obvious. And not every time do you need to have words on your posts. So it's a fine balance of when you want to have words. So you could use this just to get the similar filters. So when you do a project that is branded and you just, looks terribly ugly, I understand that. But let's say they just kind of have these filters set up and sometimes you can toggle through and get different. And sometimes the filters are super ugly and sometimes they work and sometimes you just need the picture to look fresh and clean. And maybe you alter it outside of this and then you just bring it in and then it's just easy and fast to resize it. Then you can download it. You give it a name and you can download it. It'll also go back to your projects. And if I'm on my phone, I can automatically send this to Instagram. I can automatically send it to Facebook. So it's pretty fast. So it's just something that is fun to explore and is another resource out there. Adobe makes it. Adobe makes pretty good products and they try to keep design on the up and up. So I would challenge you to give it a try. It's not a requirement, but you can give it a try. I'm going to go ahead and download a couple of these. Post one. So that I have some. Those two. So I can use these for some samples. So once you have all of your posts thought about, some people will put a white border on every post that they do. And so this would be a good place to do like that white border. So when you, let's see if I can find it. I don't know if that's their handle, but maybe we'll find it. Nope, I'll find it later. But that's another good use of the Adobe Spark is to kind of put that border, white border on it quickly. So I'm going to go to Photoshop now. I have decided my campaign. I have thought about my demographics. Am I selling stuff? Am I just getting interest? Do I need more people to come to the coffee shop? Are we having a special of the week? Am I designing around hashtag campaigns? You can just look up hashtags to use on Instagram and a million will show up. But let's talk about how this profile works here. So let's get into our layers panel. And you'll notice that there is a lot of different layers here. And the things that you want to see is something where it has a little icon that will be a smart layer. And this is my profile. And I'm going to double click into that. It opens up a new layer. And let's see, I have my... The easiest thing to do is to go straight out of Illustrator and just copy it. So we made this super awesome logo earlier. I'm going to go back to Photoshop. I'm going to paste this. I'm going to paste it as a smart object. I'm going to click OK, and there's my logo. I'm going to take off this blue layer because I don't need it. Oh, I have to apply that I want this here. Sorry. I don't need this blue layer there anymore. So I'm going to click back here. It's not there. What you have to do is you have to save this file. So you're going to save it. Once you save this file, your logo automatically shows up where that profile account is. So it'll show up in this area. Let's put that. You can't see the circle because the circle is gone because it's white. So that's something too that you want to like think about when you're designing. And then I go back, and once I clicked on this, it opened up the images. I'm going to double click here. I'm going to file. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. They give you a window big enough so in case you were having a different size image. So I'm going to place my post 1. And let's just save it and see where it shows up. So I'm going to go ahead and click that it's okay. I'm doing Command S to save. And you'll notice it's down low and gets weird. So the reason why these ones were in a rectangle is because it was for these bottoms to look like, I'm going to hold Shift and resize this, to make it look realistic like it was getting cut off. So you would just see the top portion, I'm saving again, of that there, like it's continued as a square. If you scroll down to these ones, now you have a square. I'll place an embed link. Now I'm going to do post 2, so it works backwards. I'm going to double click to apply. I checked up there earlier, Command S to save it, and now that one's there. So this is how this little mock-up is going to work for you. So you design these 9 images, and then you're going to mock it up here. You have options too. I mean, you can change the icon setting. You can change little things in here, but you don't necessarily need to. You can go in here. You will change the company's name. It's telling me a warning because the text is wrong. So you will have to, but you will have to find text that works, fonts that work. The fonts did not sync with this. The fonts were missing. But here you would go in and put your company name. You would have your little description, and you would have your web address here. And when I first opened it, there was fonts that weren't syncing, and it was probably fonts I could download for free. You just have to find the names and then download them and sync those. If not, my go-to is Google search. What are the closest fonts on Instagram? And it'll come up somewhere for you to have to use. So that will be a part of, and then you'll save it all, and I tell you how to save it and export it. But this is your whole kind of addition to that stylescape. Now, what you might want to do, we'll go back to here, and then you'll notice that your final stylescape is also due. My suggestion is to do this stuff first, because then if you did not have something that showed a screen, the idea is to show a mock-up of a web page, but if you didn't have a good layout of photos, you might find some new photos. You might be able to show your phone or this Instagram designs as well as a mock-up of a web page. And you can also look for mock-up iPhone. So then you can take your mock-up of a mock-up. So you can save, let's see. This used to be free. It was the best ever. It was called Place It. Now they put a watermark on it. But it's the same idea. You would you would have your, you could export. This is a quick PNG. And then you have a PNG. and then you would find another smart object that's a phone, and then you would double click where the screen is, and then you would place that PNG, and then you can put it into an actual mock-up of a phone. This place was awesome because you could, let's see if I can find, no one wants my iPhone to have any love. There we go. That was for a 6, so it's not going to fit on here well. But you could just upload an image, and they used to give you a very small resolution for free, which was nice. Now they don't, and they put, see how it's way longer? It's going to look weird. Now they have this silly watermark over it. But if you have to make, you can pay for one-time use. If a company's paying for you to do these mock-up type of things, this is so fast. They have t-shirts, they have everything you could think of, and you could have the t-shirts change colors and people in different lifestyles, and it's a really good resource. It's just not a good resource for a student who doesn't have a lot of money.
So when you're making that whole layout on the phone, it doesn't export right over to Instagram like automatically. Right? You're just making the mock-up.
I'm just making the mock-up. You can export straight into Instagram from Adobe Spark.
Oh, from Spark.
Yeah, that, like if you have your own. So like I have an app here I could show you, and I'll make a graphic, and then like I have like 4 different accounts on Instagram on my phone. I have to make sure that account that I want it to go is open in the background on Instagram, and then it'll send it directly, and it'll say, does it want to go to story or feed, and then you say where you want it to go. So that's really fast here. You can't do anything on Instagram from your computer. You can't upload to Instagram from a computer.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, people would have like these super amazing images. Now they have to kind of like backdoor it to do it. This is not a requirement for your personal assignment. This is just something that to show you. You are better off looking up for iPhone 6. I think that's what that file was for. And all these files will start changing because they're getting even another new, a new phone just came out. And it's hard to find. Sometimes it's easy to find the mock-ups. When you get to your portfolio, it's going to take longer to go through and kind of mock this stuff up. So here we go. Let's see if it works. Sometimes they make you pay. Sometimes they send you scary messages like this, and you're like, nope, leave. That one looked sketchy. But because they had me click the wrong thing. So this is a flat version. I'm not going to take a flat phone and put that really nice, realistic mock-up on it, so I don't want to use that. It just takes time to look through. Oh, and here we go. Let's see if this one's scary. Yep, go away, leave. I don't want to download anything that says DMG.
You can just take some from images and
No, you don't want to take the images straight from Google. I mean, you could and like lay it over the top,
yeah.
but you're not. Someone's worked hard on these smart objects to give like that right screen glare and have all those dimensions up. I just didn't prep for it for you guys, but there are a lot of
The
iPhone.
mock-up's not what is being inputted.
It's just an empty phone. Mockup World used to have free ones as well, and now they're not as free. I can find some free ones probably for a 10. A 10 is designed a lot longer. These are all 10s. So that screen is a lot taller. So if you're designing for that, it's going to be, here we go, we can try this. That says, get hosting. So this is on Behance. Behance is pretty safe. A lot of times it'll take you to Google Drive or it'll take you to Dropbox. That feels safe to me sometimes. So I'm going to download this. I'm going to open this in Photoshop. And you have different things happening that you can turn on and off. He left all his masks and reflections and things like that. So hide if you want to hide that logo. You have to read. Screenshot goes here, background. Not going to resolve. So they already put that up. So now I'm going to place that PNG that I did before. So now I can resize this. I'm going to hold. I don't even know if the shift is helping. Double click. I am going, this says hide this. I don't need any of it. I can just delete this at this point. I can delete that at that point. I can save it. And so when it's saved and I go back, it's in the screen, it's at the angle, it's reflecting on this. So there's kind of the magic of getting a mock-up versus just getting a phone that was screenshot or off of Google and laying that image over the top. So there's a lot of fun things that can, happen here. And then this is a great way, looking forward to your portfolio, to display some of these, like the story of your work. So you're going to end up having a story, your Stylescape. You're going to end up having Instagram mockups. You're going to end up having some like wireframes and an actual site and different things that go along with it. So we're building all these pieces and modeling good practices and what you want to do when you're creating a portfolio. It's not just, ooh, I made a logo. It's got to be much bigger than that.